second video for you is firstly we have a new story from the Somali region of Ethiopia. Around a week ago, Al-Shabaab fighters from Somalia carried out an attack on the Somali region of Ethiopia. The first attack was repelled by Somali regional forces, Leo police. Then a second attack came last night. We have details for you. I have recorded a video with briefing on map for you, 5-minute long video about what is happening on Somali region border. It seems that Ethiopian National Defense Force has been relocated from the security of oil and gas fields to the areas where there is ongoing fighting between Ethiopian forces and Al-Shabaab fighters. Secondly, we have a new story for you from Egypt, where Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, Somalia's president, held a meeting with Abdul Fattah al-Sisi, Egyptian president. Thirdly, a new story from Oromia. OLA has reportedly launched another attack in Qellem, Wellega, close to a place where hundreds of civilians were killed a few days ago. And lastly, a new story from Tigray, where law and order situation is not improving. We talked to some people who have been on the ground in Tigray, and they say there are serious security concerns and armed gangs. Their proliferation is being seen in Tigray. Firstly, Somalia-Ethiopia border, what is happening there? I have a briefing, 5-minute long briefing for you. This is Somalia, and to the north, this is Somali region of Ethiopia. Earlier, first entry into Ethiopia was from these two towns. These are Yid and Ato, two towns, two small places. The two places are in Bakul zone of Somalia. Bakul is part of southwest regional state of Somalia. Al-Shabaab fighters entered Yid Ato, and there they attacked bases of Somali special force. Then they entered Somali region of Ethiopia in a northern direction. Their target was this place, Al-Kare. You can see Al-Kare here. And what we are being told is that after taking control of Al-Kare, these Al-Shabaab fighters wanted to reach Oromia. To the west of Al-Kare, there is Oromia. At a distance, you can see here this border, Oromia, Somali region border. But they could not control Al-Kare. There was fighting near Halol, and Al-Shabaab fighters suffered losses, and then they retreated. They scattered rather. They did not completely retreat from Al-Kare, from this zone of Somali region, which is called Afdir zone of Somali region. They did not completely withdraw, but they suffered losses. Then came second attack. Second attack came around here. This is Farfar. Farfar is a Somali region's town, Ethiopian territory. It's part of Shabelle, I think. It's right on Somali region border, Somali region of Ethiopia and Somalia of Somalia country. And reportedly, and it shares border with Hiran region. This is Hiran region of Somalia. From Hiran region of Somalia, Al-Shabaab fighters once again entered another zone, Shabelle. This is Shabelle, viewers. You can see here Gode, one of the main waredas in Shabelle. You can see Kilafo as well, another wareda. And Farfar, it's also a wareda in Shabelle. Ogaden region, Shabelle zone. And Al-Shabaab fighters entered Shabelle. What happened after that? After that, Ethiopian National Defense Force was moved towards Farfar. In Shabelle, there are some oil wells, oil fields, gas fields where foreign companies are working. In Ilale and in Jizdin, both Ilale and Jizdin are in Shabelle. And here, foreign companies are operating, extracting oil and gas in the Somali region. An Ethiopian National Defense Force was deployed for the security of these oil fields, gas fields. Reportedly, ENDF has been moved from these gas fields, oil fields. And ENDF was seen in Gode here. We saw pictures of Mustafa Omar, Somalian president. He was seen with ENDF officers in Gode. From from Gode, ENDF moved towards Kilafo and Farfar. Now, fighting is being reported close to Farfar, reportedly in a place called Las Karan, which is here in Somalia. There was heavy fighting between Al-Shabaab fighters and Ethiopian forces consisting of Somali Special Force and Ethiopian National Defense Force. In the past, Ethiopian National Defense Force had a military base here in Farfar, and in 2008, Farfar came under Al-Shabaab control for a few days, I think. Then Ethiopian government forces retook Farfar. So there was deployment of Farfar, there was deployment of ENDF near Farfar in the past. Now, once again, Ethiopian National Defense Force has been mobilized from oil wells towards Farfar, towards Kilafo as well. And now fighting is being reported close to the border areas, both on Ethiopia side of the border in Somali region and on Somali side of the border. Secondly, towards Somalia's President Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud arrived in Egypt a few hours ago on his 7th official visit. His visits have cost around $2 million US so far since May the 15th. Since the 15th of May, he has traveled to 7 countries. $2 million US is approximate expenditure on Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud's 7 visits abroad, reportedly. And he arrived in Egypt a few hours ago. The Egyptian government sent a special plane for Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud and his delegation. He held a meeting. So far, no joint statement, but what we have learned is that discussions focused on bilateral relations in the fields of security and defense as well. The two leaders agreed to cooperate, and we know that Mahad Salad, Somalia's intelligence agency chief, is accompanying Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud in Egypt. Another minister, a minister is also accompanying him, among other ministers as well, and he's Minister of Defense. His name is Abdul Qadir Muhammad Noor. He is Somalia's Minister of Defense, newly elected government's Minister of Defense. So if Minister of Defense and Intelligence Chief are accompanying Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, it means that security and defense ties will come under discussion. And in a previous video, I reported that Egypt was interested in building a military base close to Ethiopia in Somalia or in Djibouti. So these issues could come under discussion. People say, Sajid, are you against Somalia-Egypt relations? Somalia's government has right to develop ties with countries of its choice. Why do you criticize? I am not criticizing Hassan Sheikh's visit to Egypt. What I say is that Somalia-Ethiopia friendly relations are essential for peace and stability in the Horn of Africa, because both are facing the threat of armed groups, especially Al-Shabaab. If there are tensions between these two countries, it could be detrimental for stability in the Horn of Africa. I'm not against any friendly ties between Somalia and Egypt. And secondly, Growing Egypt-Somalia security cooperation, defense cooperation, intelligence sharing cooperation could be a matter of concern for Turkey, which has a military base in Somalia. Thirdly, we have a new story from the Oromia region of Ethiopia, viewers, where reportedly Oromo Liberation Army has launched another attack in Wellega. In Wellega, in two attacks, some civilians were killed, hundreds of civilians rather, and most of them were ethnic Amharas, and government accused Oromo Liberation Army, Oromia regional government, Amhara regional government, all accused Oromo Liberation Army. It was behind attacks in Wellega. OLA denied in a statement. Then Hangasa Ibrahim, member of parliament from Oromia region, said that the attacks in Wellega were carried out by pro-government militias and forces. Once again, OLA's attack is being reported. No confirmation that it's on civilians, but what we have learned is that OLA is trying to take control of Michara. Michara is in Qellem, Wellega, and reportedly close to Michara city. Fighting between Oromo Liberation Army and government forces is being reported. And Michara is not far away from the place where ethnic Amharas were killed in large number a few days ago. It means despite government's claims that OLA had been weakened, OLA had been pushed out of main towns and cities, that its commanders were on the run, you see what is happening, that OLA still has its presence, considerable presence on the ground in Wellega. OLA is conducting an attack close to Michara. It's trying to take control of Michara. So that's very much clear that government's reporting about OLA's losses should not be trusted. It should be questioned. Government should share evidence when it comes to reporting on losses suffered by Oromo Liberation Army. Lastly, viewers, a new story from Tigray. We talked to some people who have been on the ground in Tigray. It's difficult to reveal their identity, but what we have learned is that security situation in Tigray is not improving. Though we know that Tigray police is in the making. Graduation ceremonies of new police officials were held a few weeks ago, and TDF fighters are being recruited in Tigray police. But reportedly, armed gangs proliferation is being seen close to Mekelle, in southern parts of Tigray and in some areas, rural areas, armed gangs are operating. Tigray government is trying to control the law and order situation, but it is facing problems. It's due to destroyed security infrastructure. Police is in the making. Justice Department is working, but there are issues regarding cooperation, coordination between Justice Department and police, Justice Department and Tigray regional government. And a few days ago, if you remember, an opposition party of Tigray said that judges in Tigray were under pressure. They were being harassed, they were being intimidated. So there are issues related to security, to law and order, to justice in Tigray. The people who shared this information with us, they say that it's not that Tigray government is part of the problem. Tigray government is trying to resolve the problem, but issue is that due to shortage of food, shortage of resources, people are trying to grab whatever they can. That is why this phenomena is being seen that armed groups are in the making, they are operating, and civilians are facing problems because, of course, elite is not as vulnerable as civilians. Tigray generals, TPLF leaders, they're not as vulnerable as common Tigrayans. On the one hand, they are being forcibly recruited. They're being made part of Tigray Defense Force against their will sometimes. I'm not saying that all TDF fighters, all Tigray soldiers are forcibly recruited. No, but in some cases, we have received reports that youth are being forcibly recruited. So they are facing several problems: conscription there, shortage of food there, and deteriorating law and order situation as well. Thank you for watching.